means so much to me to be able to come out here and do this reading in Fallon, because Fallon played such a large role in the book. I first came up with the idea of a white room because of the move that we had to come here. We were originally living in Lemoore, California, and my husband, who's in the U.S. Navy, was restationed to Fallon. I also really want to give a huge thank you to my husband, because only 3 days ago he was on the other side of the earth, and he spent more than 30 hours in airplanes flying all the way back here to arrive on the 4th of July, and the very next day hopped in the car with me to drive 6 hours here to Fallon to support me for this reading. He has supported me on every step of this journey, so it means so much to me that he's here today. But when we moved here from Lemoore to Fallon, I was really scared and nervous about it. It was the first time I was moving away from friends and family, and it was the first time that I was going to be out in the working world. I had just graduated college, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. I knew I wanted to be a writer, but I didn't really know how to pursue that in the form of a career. I had gotten a hold of the Vermont Valley News, and I had an agreement with them to do a 1 article a week as a freelancer, which was exciting, but it wasn't very much. And I was honestly just afraid that I wouldn't be able to find out what I wanted to do in such a small community. I was afraid I wouldn't have the opportunity. It turns out that Fallon became like a second home for us, but at the time I was just terrified. And a part of me felt, I had decided with my husband to come out here. Even we knew there might be limitations for my career, but he had supported me throughout college. I didn't have to work. He just let me focus on college, and I wanted to support his career. And this was the best move for his career at the time. But a part of me felt a little bit obligated to give up my possibilities and my dreams to support him. And even though that was something that I chose to do, I felt a little bit overwhelmed by the idea. And soon that feeling started to spill over into other areas of my life. I started to feel overwhelmed about doing little things like paying the bills or going to the grocery store. Even getting up in the morning just felt like an obligation that I didn't want. And I started to fantasize about, what if I just didn't care about any of that anymore? What if I sort of let go and just stop caring? Perhaps in some way I could find freedom through that. But you can't do that with life. If you stop caring about little obligations like paying the bills and going to the grocery store, you're not going to survive for very long. And your friends and family, the people who support you, rely on you, are going to suffer for it. As I was feeling all these emotions, that was when I wrote the first thing that became the big idea for a white room. It was sort of a free write that I did. And I was just doing it to get out these emotions, but it came out as a metaphor or sort of a story. I incorporated that little free write into the book, and I'm going to read it to you now. It's a scene where my character Emeline is feeling a lot like the way I did when I wrote it. She's just had sort of an emotional breakdown, and even though out of context you'll see it's kind of my words that I incorporated into her. Sometimes while sitting there staring out the window, I imagined a place in my mind, a white room. A simple space coated in white paint. The white represented responsibility, obligation. It didn't require what responsibility and obligation required, but it had the same effect. It maintained the person in the room. It kept the person alive and well, along with everything and everyone that person cared for. But nothing the person held dear existed in the room. The person was alone. The person experienced no joy from bearing the weight of responsibility, earned no prize. I imagined a particular person in the room, a woman, also cloaked in white. This woman constantly faced a dilemma. She longed for freedom. She longed to be a bird. Her open palms grazed the rutted expanse of the wall. She knew that something lay beyond the white. She could burst out into the world of grass, sky, and lavender, but she knew that if she broke through the barricade, everything she protected would crumble, suffocate, and wither behind her. Her own freedom would last only moments because she too couldn't survive without the white. Earth and water would smother her, and radiant light would slice through her like a blade. I imagined her pressing with both hands, weighing freedom against existence, and all that depended on her. But in the end, she lightened her stance and stepped away. She always chose to stay, to fulfill her obligation. I thought of the woman in the white room. She chose to sacrifice her freedom for the people who relied on her to survive. But how long could she possibly survive without freedom? How long could she last before choosing the alternative? How long could I? So that was the first thing that I wrote for White Room. And after I wrote it, I couldn't get the idea out of my head. It was sort of haunting me. And at the time I had set out to start writing fiction, I didn't see it as something I could pursue as a profession. I saw it as a hobby. And I was actually starting to write a science fiction novel at first, but I couldn't get this idea out of my head, and I decided I was going to turn it into a story. Now, as you can see from hearing that, it didn't really have a time period associated with it. I decided to make it historical because when I started trying to think of how the story would go, I didn't want my character to have access to phones or texting or email. I really wanted her to feel cut off from the world. And I also had imagined her in that room in a dress. And the dress was old-fashioned. It wasn't like something we would wear today. I have a degree in history, so I had this fashion timeline left over from my classes. And I went to the timeline and I saw that the silhouette of the dress I imagined matched the 1900s, which was perfect because that's right before phones came out and it was right before automobiles were working. So it was a perfect time to really trap somebody. And so I chose that period, and I went to, I actually remember the day of sitting down and I'm going to start writing this. And I couldn't write a single word because I knew nothing about that time period. I had studied history, but not specifically the 1900s. So this was the first time that I went out into town and I went to the Churchill County Library. And I still remember searching the stacks and finding on the very bottom shelf a book called Home Life in Victorian America, and it was by Jessica Foy. And that book was really a huge inspiration to help me get a lot of ideas about women in this time period and what it was like to live as a housewife in this time period. And I used books from Churchill County Library. I used a lot. Basically what I did was I went into a 6-month researching spree because I wanted to just be immersed in the time period before I started writing anything. I wanted to know how they talked, how they dressed, how they walked and acted, everything. Because I really wanted to show what it was like to live day to day at this time. After I realized the time period and I was starting to think about it more, I remembered from my women's history class a story that was written in the 1800s by a woman named Charlotte Perkins Gilman, and it's called The Yellow Wallpaper. It's about a woman who's diagnosed with hysteria, and she's confined to her bed as a form of treatment. And the idea was that if she was able to rest and be completely free from stimulation, it would help her get better. But the reality was she was forbidden from reading or writing or even really having a conversation. And the only thing that she had to do was to stare at this wallpaper that she was both fascinated by and disturbed by. And throughout the story, it starts to come to life and in a way represent her own cage that she felt like she was in. And that story was so similar to this woman I have in a white room that I decided to model a lot of my story and the insanity off of that. But instead of the yellow wallpaper, I wanted it to be the house and the furniture, because those are sort of the things that represent domesticity. And I wanted those, her own cage, to be sort of coming to life and attacking her. The Churchill County Library, it was the first time I had ever seen the sharing system that they have. You can borrow books from anywhere in Nevada, pretty much, through the Churchill County Library by ordering them online. And so I was able to pretty much use I probably used a book from every single library in Nevada to research this book. I discovered Art Nouveau furniture. through my research. And that's the type of furniture and deco that you see in Victorian times a lot. There's always like a face or an animal somehow incorporated into it. This is where we get claw-footed tubs and a lot of wood with faces carved into it, cherubs and things like that. At this style of furniture and decoration was so lifelike all on its own, it was really easy to imagine it coming to life and haunting a person, basically. So I decided not only was I going to make this happen, but I wanted to base every single piece of furniture in this book on a real Art Nouveau piece from the time. So there are sections in this novel that go into really heavy description, and some people are going to love it and some people are going to hate it, but I did it intentionally because it is a description of a real piece of furniture from the time. And I really wanted the reader to be able to already see it in their heads when the furniture started to take on life of its own. The next section that I'm going to read you is one of those scenes. And it's when the furniture is taking on life of its own. It starts out with Emeline in the basement, which is where her kitchen is located, and she is washing the dishes. I racked a clean dish and lathered the next. A loud thud made me jump. Then I heard noise from above, creaking sounds as if someone were traipsing across the parlor. I let my head fall back and stared at the ceiling. It had to be John. I placed the wet dish on the stack, picked up my ivory lamp with the tall cylindrical glass cover, and cautiously scaled the stairs. I always moved with wariness while in the house alone, for I feared disturbing something. At the top of the stairs, I looked down a dark hallway. I hadn't opened the doors in case John returned quickly. If he'd been home, he would have left open the door to whichever room he was in. None were ajar. John? It felt like hollering underwater. I cleared my throat and took a breath. I was preparing to raise my voice when pounding on the second floor stopped me. I turned my eyes up and listened, too frightened to move. Was it John? Was it the beast? A clanking noise came from the parlor. I saw the glow of the lamp on the doorknob, hesitated, heard clacking, and inched over. I grasped the knob, twisted it, and pushed the door open. It opened to reveal that all the furniture in the parlor was moving, dancing. The winding appendages of the bizarre tables and chairs were actually twisting and twirling. The legs were flailing, and the statues and pictures were sashaying. I dropped the lamp, and the glass cylinder shattered on the floor. My disturbance did not halt the wooden being's frenzy. I thrust my hands out. Stop! Stop! You must stop! The furniture continued to dance as if I didn't exist. I looked around at the chaos and tried to think of the appropriate action. I needed to stop this. John could return at any moment. Stop! I screamed as loud as I could to cut through the clanking and flailing. Stop! Stop! Stop now! They refused to respond. An unbearable sense of urgency rose within me from deep in my abdomen. I screamed and grabbed at the snaking extremities. I took hold of the leg of a chair and snapped it off. With the sound of the chair's limb breaking free, an unquenchable need to demolish these rebellious objects began to boil in my gut. I bunched my hands into tight little rocks and experienced my own detonation. I picked up a statuette and hurled it at the wall. I kicked over a table and all the bric-a-brac crashed to the floor. I stomped down on the legs of a table I'd knocked over, breaking all but one off. I continued seeking out the most frail furnishings and tearing them limb from limb. The entire room fell into a hush. I seized a detached extremity and waved it in the air. Do you see? Do you see what I can do to you? The room sat motionless, as if nothing had happened. Had it not? I scanned the parlor and saw the disarray that had resulted from my thrashing. My heart skipped. John would be home soon. I couldn't allow him to see it. What would he think? What a cruel and evil trick the furniture had played on me. Quickly, I ran about the room and turned chairs and tables upright, gathered the smashed pieces of bric-a-brac together. I scuttled and tripped on my skirt. I swiftly removed the broken table, dismembered pieces and shattered porcelain, and ran down the stairs to stow them away from my melancholy in the basement. As I set the rubble down in the corner, I heard thumping again. I dashed upstairs and into the parlor to find the furniture at it again, only this time, instead of merely dancing, the pieces were running amok. They knew I would be the one to suffer the consequences. They didn't speak it. They couldn't, being on the furniture. But I knew they were calling out in an uproar. Do you see? Do you see what we can do dude. I watched as one reached out and tipped over a potted plant, scattering soil everywhere. No! A twirling vine from a cabinet slid up the wall, lifted off a mirror, and let it crash to the floor. You wretched things! I scrambled to pick everything up. I moved from place to place, standing tables up, positioning chairs to face the proper direction, and gathering shards of porcelain and glass. I picked up trinkets and statuettes to put them in their places. Every time I cleared something from the room, I returned to worse. Every time I put something right, I whirled around to find it all wrong again. No, no, no! Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I fell to my knees, covered my face with my hands, and screamed, "Stop! Stop! I'm begging you, please stop!" Emeline? A calm but curious voice broke through the insanity. Nothing around me was in motion. There was only me, a lifeless parlor, and John's voice. I opened my eyes, lifted my head, and peeked through my hands to see his lanky form standing in the open doorway, his cheeks twitching and his eyes bulging. What happened? He sounded oddly concerned. I looked up, stunned. I lowered my trembling hands from my face and clasped them at my chest. My mouth hung open but could not form syllables. He stared. I tripped? You tripped? I nodded ever so slightly. He pointed. You have blood on your face. I lifted my hand to my left cheek and felt a wet slit but no pain. I noticed a slit in my sleeve that revealed a little blood-speckled flesh. I cut myself. John observed the room. Furniture tipped over, chairs facing every direction, dirt strewn across the floor, little piles of broken porcelain and glass throughout. He may have suspected my dishonesty. He bent down and picked up a rounded fragment of a vase. My eyes darted to and fro in panic. I realized how I must have looked, on my knees in the middle of the room, panting, with a red smear across my face, a cut arm, surrounded by wreckage. It was an accident? He rubbed the broken porcelain with his thumb. Well, I'll be in the library. He turned and walked out. I looked over my shoulder at the destroyed parlor, everything limp and lifeless. Damn furniture. So, the first thing that I wrote for this novel was the white room metaphor. When I decided that I wanted to pursue it as a story, I knew right away that it was going to be the story of how the woman decided that she was going to break out of the white room despite the consequences. So the very next thing that I wrote, while I was conducting the research that eventually led to that scene, the next thing I wrote was the scene where she was breaking out. The context of the scene, which I'm not going to read, is it wasn't even in my head yet. I wasn't even sure how she was going to get there. I just knew that I wanted her to break out this way. What's happening in the scene is that she has been diagnosed with hysteria, and she has been confined to her bedroom for more than a week. And the house has just gotten worse and worse and worse as that week has gone on. Her husband was told that it would be best to leave her alone so she wouldn't have any stimulation, so he went on a business trip. And she had people who were caring for her, bringing her food, but on that day, or on this day, she angered her caretaker, and the person abandoned her alone in the house. So this is the moment when Emeline decides she's going to break out of her white room. It was another night with no moon, just utter darkness. And this night it was only me and the house. There were no shadows. The White House had become black. I lay awake for most of the night. Finally, I drifted off, but roused quickly when I heard sadness in a dream. I realized the sound was the little girl's crying. I turned my head toward the wall her room shared with mine, then to the beast's wall across from my bed. I became aware. For some reason, the wicked presence decided it would no longer tolerate me. I could feel it lowering its ant-like body between bent limbs, hairy arms outstretched. Its energy, its rage built. I could see it in my head. As it let the feeling boil in its abdomen, it crouched and nearly disappeared in the shadows of the empty room. I wondered for a moment if it had gone, if it slept. But it sprang up and released every ounce of its frustration at the wall. My vision fell back into my room, pounding, pounding. Then I heard scraping sounds, as if a rat had been trapped with a snake. It was coming for me. Screams like light burst into my mind, and I was momentarily disoriented. When I found my way back, the scratching was louder, and I knew I couldn't remain within my chamber any longer. I thrust off the covers, felt my feet hit the floor, and flew toward the door. I took the doorknob in my hand. I sensed the house's unrelenting hunger for me. I gripped the knob and hesitated, fearful that the beast would do the same at its door in the next room. I feared that if I made a sound, something would snatch me up, but I couldn't flee silently. I couldn't move with caution, not when it was trying to get me. The scratching gave way to banging. The wife within me told me not to go. I wouldn't be able to live beyond the white walls. Nothing I cared for would survive. Loud thuds sounded. I had to stay. I was supposed to get better. My family needed my marriage. I had to be a good wife. Pounding, scratching. James wasn't coming for me. I couldn't abandon my obligations without help. I should be loyal. Banging. I had to honor my father and mother and everything that depended on me and my marriage. I couldn't do it on my own. I needed the doors to take care of them. I had to maintain the walls. James had abandoned me. Pounding. I had no choice. I had no one. Pounding. I had to stay. I must stay. Pounding. I had to stay. You have to stay. You have to stay. You have to stay. I screamed, I will not stay. I stepped back and yanked the door open, and I saw the flash of the empty corridor. I ran. My feet slapped against the wood floors. The people in the rooms whipped their heads around as I blazed by. They kept their eyes on me, twisting their necks just beyond what was natural. I quickened my step to escape the hall and ended up in the stairwell. The moment I fell into the cave of steps, the walls moved in. Wailing sounded as they narrowed toward me. I tripped and fumbled. Before, I'd never been sure if I truly heard the house creak and moan, but now, as if it knew my urgency, it left nothing to my imagination. I slammed against the wall where the stairwell curled left. I sensed something reaching out for me as I hit each step. At the final corner, my right foot reached too far, and I felt my heel hit 2 or 3 steps in a row as my left leg bent under. I put my hands out as I fell forward and hit the floor at the bottom of the stairs. I heard the clawing and scraping sounds of oddly shaped feet thrashing down the second-floor hallway. The beast had broken out and was coming for me. There was no time for either pain or grace. I pushed myself up and began to sprint. My feet bound down the hall, and all the rooms in the house lunged at me. Ella and Francis must have opened the doors. As I dashed past, I caught glimpses of things inside the dining room and library alive. I rounded the corner and rushed down the hall to the front doors. As I pulled them open, I spotted the furniture in the parlor clanking, leaping, and reaching toward me. I burst outside and did not waste time shutting the door behind me. I ran as fast as I could into the woods beyond the house. I could hear the house call after me in my head, screaming, "You must stay, you must stay." But I ran. I ran. So that's the moment where Emeline decides she's breaking out. A lot of people have asked me if I have broken out of my white room. And the thing is that by writing about Emeline's effort to find purpose and meaning in life, I found my own. I discovered that writing fiction is my passion in life, and it's what I want to do for my life. And I was afraid to come to Fallon, and I was afraid I wouldn't have any opportunities here, but it turned out that moving to Fallon was the best possible thing that could have happened to me for my early writing career. I started out as a freelancer at Lahant Valley News, but I slowly became a full-time reporter, and eventually I was not only writing articles, but also editing community pages. And I won first place awards from the Nevada Press Association and the National Newspaper Association for articles I did there. And I used so much of what I learned from working there to write this novel, and I still use so much to promote it, things that I learned from working there. But not only that, I received so much support and encouragement from not only the resources here, like the Churchill County Library, but also from friends, some of the nicest people I've ever met in my life, who helped me by reading the book and giving me feedback. Christy Lawton from LBN helped me by reading it, one of the first drafts, and one of the family members of the Fallon Book Club also read an initial draft, and she gave me some feedback that was huge at that time in my writing process. Even the former director of the library, Barbara Matthews, read one of the later editions and gave me some great feedback that helped me improve one of the final drafts. So I'm so happy that today a portion of the proceeds from each book sale will be going back to the community through the Rising Sun Gallery and Art Studio, and will be going to promote and further encourage the arts in our community. And I'm so happy to be giving back in that way because I received so much to help me as an artist through this community. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming.